You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
It's good to be back.
Not only that, but the corner, Christian Gray, gave him a cushion. Howard sitting back there with time to throw. See, the backers are moving. Here they come.
Heavy pressure, Howard delivers downfield, and Smith, he's got it! Jeremiah Smith hadn't had a touch in the second half until that potential game clincher. First down at the 10.
Oh, they went 0, meaning they blitzed 7.
What did I tell you yesterday about one-on-one and man-to-man coverage by Notre Dame? Well, they bit him in the ass last night towards the end. Didn't matter anyway, did it? Ohio State was the better team. They are the national champions. They beat Notre Dame 34-23. Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here on a chilly Tuesday here in Southwest Florida. Let's get it going, baby. Lots to discuss. Thanks for checking out the show, as usual, on the Coastal Sports Network and across the video platform. You can follow me on Twitter X at PShep326, on a bunch of Facebook pages, my own, the Tampa Joe's Facebook page, as well as the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page, CSN Florida, Rumble, Kick, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, LinkedIn, and of course on the great app that we have right above. You see SR1029thegame.com. You should check that out every day anyway, and check out all the shows. And if you missed any of the shows, you can download them as well. And also call or text the show 727-858-6650. I'm fighting off some kind of a bug here, just so everybody knows. So we will see how long this goes. I'm very excited, though, to talk about this game. And Jay Flanley is going to join me once again this morning. Hang on. I got to check the text. Angel Martinez is off again today. And, yeah, Jay's going to join me in a half an hour. He was going to be on at 8:30, but I want him on at 7:30 because we're going to probably not have a full show today until 10 o'clock. Till 10 o'clock. And the rest of the week we absolutely will. But Angel Martinez is off today. But we'll get through it. What a game last night by the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are clearly the best team in college football. There's no way around it. I'm happy for Ryan Day for a lot of reasons. One, he's a New England guy, and we've talked to John Meter-Perrell all season long about it, and he knows Ryan very well. Ryan's a University of New Hampshire guy, played under Chip Kelly back in the day when he was the OC over there. So you disgruntled Michigan fans, and OJ's one of them. You can talk all you want about it, but he's one of my New England brothers. So I've always kind of had a soft spot for him. I think what he and his family have gone through and some of the stuff. I'm not saying he's perfect by any stretch. No coach is. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous, some of the crap that he's gone through at Ohio State since he's taken over the program. And all he's done is go 70-10 and win a national championship. Get fucking 60 games over 500 and a national title. Everybody get over yourselves around the country, especially some of you Michigan people. I don't care about flag planting or any of that stuff. No coach is perfect. I don't care. That guy deserves a hell of a lot of respect from a lot of people who have been disrespecting him around the country. And the worst thing, the best thing and the worst thing that happened was losing to Michigan the way they lost 13-10, which he took full accountability about. If he had played the way he did last night against Notre Dame, against Michigan, it might have been a different story. I don't know what happened in that game, and I credit the Wolverines for coming up with a terrific game plan. But last night, a couple of interesting coaching decisions, and mostly by Freeman for Notre Dame. And Ryan Day outcoached him. There's no question about it. There was talk, a lot of people, because I thought Mark Freeman outcoached a couple of people during their run to the college football playoff championship. But last night, there's 9 minutes to go. You're down by 16. And, it's 4th and 9. You're driving. You got to go for the first down there. But we digress. So anyway, we're gonna play all the highlights for you. Ohio State wins the national championship. Here's how it sounded at the end.
The longest, toughest postseason climb in the history of the sport. And after all that, it's Ohio State together at the mountaintop, champions of college football.
Yeah, and after the game, we'll get to Kirk Herbstreit. He was a little emotional after the game as well. We'll hear from Marcus Freeman. We'll hear from Ryan Day. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. I got the video out there. I retweeted it. And I can't play video today because Angel's not here. I can take some of your texts on some of the platforms, but usually you can call the text in at 727-858-6650, but I don't have access to that when Angel's not here. He's supposed to be hopefully back tomorrow. But all the other things you got after the game, did you guys see this? And girls see this? It's on my Twitter page. Ryan Day's they're on a golf cart, a big one. One of those 6-seaters, right? So Ryan Day's on it. Will Howard is on it, who had he was just a beast last night, throwing and running the football for Ohio State. They're going through the tunnel at the end. They're going probably to the locker room press conference via the golf cart. And this ditzy woman, and I would say think if it was a man, ditzy man, but it was a ditzy woman, takes the golf cart, right? Now, this is just after they win, trying to drive in, and tries to turn sharply, slowly, but sharply, and smashes into the wall. Nearly knocked Ryan Day out of the golf, really almost squashed him, and he's sitting in the passenger seat on the driver's side. Will Howard, a couple of the players sitting there, what the hell is going? What is this? And she couldn't even back it out. She was so bad. She wedged the wheel into the wall. You got to see it. It's on my Twitter page at pshep326. I mean, it's gone viral. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Luckily, nobody got seriously hurt. Just unbelievable in a freaking golf cart. Anyway, you heard that play, the play of the game. I mean, there were a lot of plays of the game, but Notre Dame jumps out to that 7-0 lead, and then that was it. It was pretty much all Ohio State. I'll give Notre Dame a little some credit for making that comeback that they did. They converted on a couple of fourth downs and made a nice run at the end, but it wasn't. It's you could just tell, especially as the game progressed. I mean, they were down what 24-7 at one point. I mean, they went up 7-0, and then that was it. It was all Ohio State basically after that, and they went for a field goal down by 16 with 9 minutes left, and I'm trying to find the cut. And in case you missed it, let's see. In case you missed it, I gotta find it. This is where I really missed Angel, but I gotta find it. Actually, Angel's got nothing to do with this part. You heard the Jeremiah Smith reception, the 56-yard, and that's what happened. So that's what I was talking about yesterday, about one-on-one coverage, and they were going to get burned. They got burned a lot. Christian Gray came in for some reason, tried to stop Jeremiah Smith, one of the best receivers in the country, one-on-one coverage, and it was a beautifully thrown ball by Will Howard, right in the basket, as they say, and that was a game-clinching, really, play of the game. But they were up big for most of that football game. I'm still trying to see. Jaden Greedhouse at a 35-yard pad. We'll get to that. That was good. I want to get to the missed field goal. Let me see if I can find it. Well, here's another great play by Ohio State in this football game. While I play this and try to look for some other stuff.
It was almost perfect against Tennessee and Oregon. Haven't had to play that tonight. Judkins breaks free. Quinshon Judkins hits a sprint. And they'll finally run him down at the 5. An explosive play for Ohio State. Pick it up where they left off. Grab 70 right there.
Yeah, great call last night on ESPN as well. Good stuff. We got the funny McAfee stuff to tell you about. Okay, here's what happened late in the game. There is about 9 minutes to go. And here's with Notre Dame trailing by 16, 9:34 remaining. And Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame go for the field goal attempt.
Field goal unit out here.
They'll be content here to cut the lead to 13. 70-yard drive. Did take 5 minutes. Have to be alert for a fake. Again, the fake punt earlier was snuffed out. And the field goal unsuccessful.
No good. Doink. And Notre Dame has had problems kicking the ball all year, as most of you ND fans realize that. That was the one I think that was a bad coaching decision right there by Marcus Freeman. And I don't think that's nitpicking at all. I think going up against that football team, the way they were playing with that kind of offensive power, you converted a couple of fourth downs already. You got to go for the fourth down conversion there. I'm sorry. Marcus Freeman, though, explains, let's see. He explains why he went for the field goal there. And I'm trying to make sure that here it is right here. Here's Marcus Freeman, head coach of Notre Dame, on why he chose to kick the field goal and not go for the first down.
Yeah, I think it was 4th and 9 or 10. And I just thought, instead of being down 16, let's try to go down 13. And I know it's still a 2-score game, but you have a better probability of getting 14 points than you do 16 points. And so if it was a shorter fourth and goal situation, I probably would have gone for it, but I just felt 4th and 9 was not a great chance for us to make that. And, I decided to kick it, and we didn't make it. Yeah,
it was a bad decision. Bad decision, especially when we have a shaky field goal kicker. Then he also talked about Jeremiah Smith's huge reception that sealed the game. This is from WBNS 10 TV.
Marcus, you have an opportunity at the end in third down to maybe get the ball back and try to go score. What was the look there? I know you guys brought some pressure, and obviously it was a difficult assignment there for Christian to cover Jeremiah. What did you see there?
Yeah, it was do or die. It was that type of down. And, if they run it, and they get a first down, we got to get them stopped. And we thought at that moment the best way to get them stopped is to run zero pressure. And you know what? We have to have faith at some point that we can make a play. And there was times in the second half that we did in man coverage, but, he's a heck of a player. He's difficult to cover. You want to play zone, and they'll find ways to pick you apart. You want to play man, they find ways to get him the ball. And so it's a talented offense. But that's that situation right there.
Look, and the Greathouse had 128 yards on 6 receptions and a couple of touchdowns. One really nice one with pass interference call for Notre Dame. But other than that, the rushing stats tell the story of the game. Notre Dame was outrushed 214 to 53. You're not going to beat Ohio State rushing the ball for only 53 yards. And I know that you were down. And you took the 7-0 lead, but after that it was all Ohio State. So I know that. So a lot of this the garbage net yardage, and they didn't make it interesting at the end. And that late field goal also sent Ohio State Buckeye fans like myself from last night anyway. Great win because they covered the 8 or 8.5, whatever it was. I think it might have even gone up to 9, but they ended up winning by 11. It didn't seem like it was ever going to get that close, but it was. So give Notre Dame credit. They outscored Ohio State 16-13 in the second half. But you could clearly see the best team on the field was Ohio State. It clearly was. And no way Notre Dame was going to match up with them man-to-man. Howard started off, 12 for 12, just amazing. 17 of 21, 231 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He also rushed for 57 yards as well on 16 carries, and he knew just when to run. He was absolutely brilliant last night. Brilliant. In that game. Riley Leonard was okay, 22 of 31, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But really, after the game, Will Howard, speaking of Will Howard, he talked about how Coach Day and OSU has changed his life.
You came to Ohio State to do something special. Now you're walking off this field a champion. How has this group and Coach Ryan Day changed your life?
I don't have words, man. They've changed my life in more ways than I can say, man. And Coach Day and these guys here have completely changed my life. And I just, Coach Tressel said it when he talked to us, but I can't believe God gave me the chance to be a Buckeye. There's nothing like it.
All right, here's Ryan Day. Says he wakes up everyone because of his team.
Yeah, they're my motivation. My family at home, my wife and kids, and then these guys. That's why I get up in the morning every day. It's just to try to make sure these guys reach their dreams and goals. That's all it comes down to. And then also just show as an example, when things get hard in life, you just keep swinging as hard as you can, you fight. That's our culture.
National champions, baby!
Ryan Day also talked about handling adversity early in the season.
This team had to have resilience to write the perfect ending. What have you seen from this group in the hard times, in the moments that were hard, that got you here?
Just sticking together, having each other's back. Faith is huge with these guys. And we built the foundation early in the season that we knew we were going to have to withstand some storms along the way. We did. We stuck together. We hung in there like a family does when things get hard. And we came out the back end. And now this just gives so much credibility to what these guys did all season. I'm so proud of them.
Amazing stuff. Nick Saban on ESPN talked about Ohio State's critics.
And I think it is absolutely ridiculous that Ryan Day has been criticized the way he has. Having been a coach, having coached at Ohio State and lived in the state for 12 or 14 years, I'm telling you, when the fans are negative and the media gets negative, it affects so many things. You know, you got to give the guy credit. He built the roster. He's built the roster for 3 years, and it's gotten better. His coaches have made the players better, and they made a lot of improvement, and they've overcome adversity, especially in the Michigan game. So we should be giving the guy credit and being positive, because every time you're negative, it affects recruiting, it affects everything that you do, and he's been able to overcome the naysayers and still get to the national championship game. And win or lose, I think that guy deserves respect.
And rightly so. Ryan Day, more from Ryan Day after winning the national title, says the team story gets to be told now.
The story gets to get told now, and it's a great story about a bunch of guys who have just overcome some really tough situations. And there's a point where there's a lot of people that counted us out, and we just kept swinging and kept fighting. It's the reason why you get into coaching, is to see guys overcome things, learn life lessons, and then reach their dreams.
Again, Jeremiah Smith also 88 yards on 5 carries and a touchdown, had that great catch at the end of the game to seal it for the Buckeyes. And here is Will Howard on Jeremiah Smith.
I joked with you about throw it to 4, right? Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense when push comes to shove. I saw Chip before the game, and I said, throw it to 4. I mean, look, he's a remarkable guy. And when the game's on the line, this is a young man, and you made a hell of a throw, by the way. He made some money tonight, don't you think?
I would say so.
Yeah. Just the last thought, just because that kind of puts this game on ice. Just what goes through that moment?
Man, that kid's a generational talent. I mean, he's different. You know, I've never seen a guy like him that young come in, that mature, and that ready to, you know, take on the big moments. Because I mean, that's one of the biggest moments in Ohio State history.
Right.
You know? And he's
really
he was able to come down with it. And I mean, we knew all week if that play was called, and you know, I was going to put air on it and let number 4 go be number 4.
Again, one-on-one coverage there, which I thought was a bad idea for most of the game for Notre Dame's defense. Christian Gray got burned, but it took a perfect throw. And it absolutely was. And Jeremiah Smith showed why he is one of the best receivers in the country. Kirk Herbstreit, after the game, emotional about Ohio State.
Chris Fowler. Kirk Herbstreit join us now. And, men, this story can now be told, right? You guys heard it. Holly asked him about it. We've all heard Ryan Day say the story can only be told if we win tonight. Herbie, I'll let you start as a guy grew up there and wore the uniform. What's the story of this team?
Oh, don't start with me, man. I'm a little emotional. I'm just fired up for these guys. When I call these games, I'm incredibly objective. And I love all these Ohio State teams, but this team, because of what they went through to get to this point, you're just happy, you know.
Yeah,
just
man.
happy for them.
We're all from somewhere, all right? Zero apologies for any of the emotion. I think it's all understandable. I'll ask Chris a question once you get yourself together.
It's seventh national title, 7th for Ohio State, but none of them have been won like this, Scott, as you said, right? So they win the first year of the 14 bracket, and they had to beat Alabama in New Orleans to do it, to beat Oregon. Now you come into this year, and off that low, to win a championship this way, to survive 4 rounds against 4 really high-quality teams. Yeah, they're expected to win, but you got to go out and handle business. And they played from the front most of the time. But to execute collectively and to still be standing, that's really the story. I mean, I don't know if they were written off. I mean, they were ripped apart by a lot of their own people in Columbus.
They went to hell and back. I mean, we can try to make this sound soft. But my thing is I talk to these players. I talk to these coaches. I know what they faced after that Michigan game. I know the pain. And I know that a lot of people thought, the hell with this guy. Who else can be the guy? And I know what that did. That's a real life thing. And to have to put that away and not be, like, who are you to question? Like, he just handled it, took the high road, didn't say anything, went out, got his team ready to play 4 games, and they won it. And I think that's why I'm emotional, is what these guys faced. And if you notice, they just kept talking about each other. They didn't talk about, anything else. It was each other. It was the coaches. It was because it was those guys in that locker room that believed that they could make this run. And I think that's what, 20 years from now, that's what I'll remember, is how they kept it together just by themselves and had to fight out of that dark hole that they were in. And it's pretty special to think. It's a great example for all of us to learn about adversity. And we want to quit. We want to give up. It's a great example, not just for football, but in life, about getting through the tough times, and the good times are coming ahead. And that's what this is.
Yeah, the great stuff. And Herbie got emotional last night. And look, you can understand. And I do think he's very objective and fair and impartial when he calls Ohio State games. Some people in Columbus and down here in Southwest Florida, where there's a fucking million Ohio State fans, they've criticized him in the past for not being critical. It's just you cannot win. Ohio State fans are like, all fans are passionate and everything else, but Ohio State fans, it's like this different breed. It's like nobody else exists. And when you come down to it, it's just football. And to try and ruin Ryan Day because he lost 13-10 to Michigan, and I get all that bullshit about the rivalry and everything else. I've got plenty of rivalries in sports in my life and all that nonsense. And Ohio State, Michigan is no better than Red Sox, Yankees, or Dodgers and San Francisco, or Bruins in Montreal. And I could go on and on and on. But the Ohio State, Michigan people think that brand of football somehow supersedes everybody else's rivalries, and it just doesn't. It's right up there. I mean, there's one. I mean, they're all right there. It just means more. Blah blah blah. We saw Ohio State kick Michigan's ass for 5 straight years, one score worse than the next. Then we saw Michigan kick Ohio State's ass the last 3 years, one score worse than this. And then this year they get upset by Michigan, and somehow that is supposed to diminish a coach who at the time was 69-10 going into the championship game. Now he's 70-10 with a national championship. The guy's from New England. He's from New Hampshire. And God damn it, I am glad for Ryan Day. He is proven to be one of the best coaches in the country. Do you know how many people would like to go 70-10? And you criticize this guy for what? Because he lost to Michigan 3 years in a row. Okay, Lottie freaking da. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of rivalry games that have lost to a particular team. I remember Florida State. Look at all the Florida State losses to my Hurricanes back in the day. Most of them by field goals at the end. What are you supposed to do? Fire Bobby Bowden back then? I didn't hear a lot of that back then. I mean, the Ohio State, Michigan people, you got to get over yourselves when it comes to the rivalry game. I get all the passion, and I appreciate it, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games of the year to watch. It's not the be-all, end-all of life, nor is it the be-all, end-all of college football. And you shouldn't shit all over whatever coach it is for either one of those teams, whoever it is. Look at the crap Harbaugh had to take for all those years. And Ohio State whipped them, and I mean whipped them, 4 or 5 years in a row before Ohio State finally came back, got themselves together under Ryan Day, and returned the favor a little bit. Still not as badly as how Ohio State whipped Michigan back in the day 4 or 5 years in a row. But, some sweet revenge, I think, until this year when Michigan really played their asses off, played a great game, and deserved the win. And then you want to, eviscerate Ryan Day because he loses to me. It's so childish. It really is. It really is. Look, I hate losing to the Jets. I hated losing to the Jets in 2010. What am I supposed to do? Crucify Bill Belichick and Tom Brady? Yeah, they deserve when you lose, when your team loses, yeah, of course you deserve some constructive criticism. But I think it's so over the top with some of this stuff with the Ohio State and Michigan. It's way, way, way over the top. And don't give me that bullshit that I don't understand. I'm not a buck. I get all of it. I'm as passionate about my teams losing to their rivalry team as well. But at the end of the day, it's football. I'm glad I have my health. I'm glad I live here in Southwest Florida. And, for most of us, your team winning or losing, you care a hell of a lot more about it than they do at the end. They do. I mean, they care. But I'm telling you, a lot of these guys who make it to the pros end up teammates. And, they'll always remember, you beat me, I beat you, all that stuff, no matter what rivalry is. Just everybody take a fucking chill pill when it comes to this stuff. So ridiculous. And maybe it's because, a lot of my teams have won titles over the last, 20-something year, except for the Hurricanes, And, they broke my heart this year that they couldn't get in this thing and Cam Ward couldn't play. And I still root for them to beat Florida State every year. But I'm not going to sit there and crucify coaches and players for days and weeks on ends and torture their families with stupid shit social media comments because I lost to Ohio State, I lost to Michigan, I lost to Florida State, I lost to Miami, I lost to UCLA, I lost to USC. I mean, come on. It's absolutely ridiculous. Everybody take a goddamn chill pill and relax. Ohio State, best team in the country this year. Last year, Michigan, best team in the country this year. Big Ten, best conference overall the last 2 years. They got the 2 titles. The SEC's got who got. They got nothing. All right, quick break. Manny, thanks for the kind words. I love Manny Correa. You're still the best in my book. Yeah, you know what the difference between me and every other people, and I know some that talk to, I don't have to sit here and make a show because Drake May didn't come back from vacation and talk about that for 4 hours. Drake May didn't come back from vacation. Who cares? Like a phone call couldn't have happened or a Zoom call. It is the people that want to make shows out of stuff like that. That is what I absolutely do not miss. And you won't hear any of those shows talk about this. They'll be talking about the Celtics' big blowout win last night in Golden State yesterday afternoon, rightly so by 40 points. Bruins started off okay, then not okay, and then they steamrolled San Jose in the end. Winning 6-3 yesterday. That was great. So a good day for me, shekel-wise as well. Had the Bruins, had the over at 5.5, had the Celtics -10, and I had Ohio State -8.5 last night. Thank you for the field goal at the end, Ryan Day, for making it an 11-point game. Another reason why I love you. Not just because you're from New England, which I always root for my New England peeps. I'm sorry. I'm going to root for them, and especially in college football. And he came from good stock at UNH, where he played and is quarterback back in the day under Chip Kelly, and coached at BC. Meter raves about him all the time, as well as being what a really good guy. Nobody's perfect. We get it. I know Michigan people don't want to hear it, but that guy is a great coach. He's 70-10 in the national championship. Go ahead, top that. All right, quick break. Jay Flanley going to join me next, and we'll talk about that. We'll get to some NFL coaching news as well. Looks like the Bears have their guy in Ben Johnson. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. And the coaching carousel continues in the National Football League, all part of the Pete Sheppard Show. I got to line up the commercials here. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
He was almost perfect against Tennessee and Oregon. Haven't had to employ that tonight. Judkins breaks free. Quinshon Judkins hits a sprint. And they'll finally run him down at the 5. An explosive play for Ohio State. Pick it up where they left off. Grab 70 right there.
Oh, Chris Fowler with the call last night on ESPN. Kirk Herbstreit as well. Great job, everybody. Ohio State wins 34-23. Just another gigantic play for the Buckeyes last night. Will Howard was outstanding last night. Started off, 12 or 12, whatever it was, 17-21, 2 touchdowns, 231 yards, and he rushed for 57 yards as well. Just a great game by the Ohio State Buckeyes, and good heart by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for coming back in that game and kind of, sort of made it close at the end. A very questionable call. Marcus Freeman, I think, made the wrong decision in that game by going for, with 9:36 to go, going for the field goal instead of going for the 4th down conversion. But I still think Ohio, no guarantee they would have made the stop. It was looking more and more like they were going to, that the way that game was going for Ohio State, that they would have made the stop here. But anyway, before we get to Jay Flanley, I want to get this in because it's a serious game last night, obviously. But if you checked out the Pat McAfee show, and ESPN had about 8,000 stations going, no matter what you wanted to do or hear and everything else. However, there was it got a little stinky in the booth, in Pat McAfee's booth anyway.
It smells like poop down here. Somebody needs some Dove Men's whole body DO.
The first of the half.
Maybe 2 bottles, 3 bottles. Is that you, Poop?
That's not me.
Could be the Ohio State Buckeyes sideline, because this game has gone a lot closer than we could have imagined.
Nah, ain't no poop come from that sideline. Those cheeks are clenched over there on that sideline. This game has been going the last few minutes.
Nothing like a little poop talk to the national championship game. Hey, real quick, Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Get on down there at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. That's Phil Castanetti, Sports World. Call 781-233-7222 for more info. Sports World in Saugus, be there. Hey, Jay, thanks so much for getting up a little earlier this morning and joining me. I'm not feeling great, but I'm glad. Shekel-wise, it was a good day for me yesterday. But I'm sure Jay Flanley, despite his disdain for the Ohio State Buckeyes, is going to be fair and rational today and welcoming with open arms fellow New Englander, former UNH player under Chip Kelly. He's a New England guy, which means we're all brothers, no matter what you think of him. And I'm sure Jay Flanley would have a big Coastal Network sports hug for Ryan Day. Good morning, Jay. Hug? I'm doing all right. Thanks for taking a few minutes. Thanks for getting up early this morning. I appreciate you. Angel still had some personal stuff to take care of today, so he is off, and I'm battling whatever I'm battling. Oh, wait a second. That's my fault. Don't do anything. That's me. I did not put your guy. Hang on. No. We got to see you. You're happy and handsome. Where the hell are you? That's my bad for not pushing you up here. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. And hang on. There you are. There you are. Good morning, Jay. How are you? Got your Bruins hat on today?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a
And
win.
I got another shirt, the shirts on. You knew that was coming.
Oh, of course. So I said, you're going to welcome Ryan Day, a former New Englander, with open arms, welcoming him to the national championship coaching tree, a man who is 70-10 with a national championship. So
yeah, congratulations. That number 10, there's four of those from one team. You know what team that is?
Yeah, Michigan. But you want me to go back and talk about Harbaugh's record against Ohio State when you guys got
I
whacked?
don't like Harbaugh. I don't like Harbaugh. Go ahead and kill him. All you want.
Stop it. You don't like him.
No, I don't. Pete, I don't. But that's okay. Who cares? But it's not about Michigan today. Give Ohio State their props.
Yeah.
And
let's get to the one controversial thing that Freeman did. This is why I didn't think he was going to.
The field goal.
At the end, you got to go for it. They converted a couple of fourth downs, right? I mean, you got to go for the fourth down there. That was a bad call on Freeman's part.
Yep. It was but the gambling aspect, that screwed up because of what they did at the end of the game where he kicked the field goal.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did for a lot of reasons, but I mean, I'm glad he did. But it's really I was surprised it came. I give Notre Dame credit for fighting back. I give him credit. But after the first touchdown, they marched down the field, a long drive, and all that stuff. But Ohio State came right after that. It was all Ohio State. I mean, they were clobbering them. They had no answers. You cannot beat. You're not going to beat Ohio State or most teams. Forget Ohio State. You're not going to beat a lot of teams who only rush for 53 yards a game. And I know a lot of that was because they were down, and I understand that. But
and the offensive lineman injuries too.
Notre Dame's strength was running the football. They weren't going to win by throwing the ball, and they're not built to come back from 2 touchdowns down. They're just not.
Very few teams are, but no, it was interesting. I thought, speaking of New England guys, I thought Chip Kelly did a real good job at the beginning of the game. And I believe he was one of Day's coaches when he was at UNH.
Yeah, he was. He was the OC there. Yeah.
See, I think, and one of my other buddies, Dr. Fred from the Buccaneers, was with them also at UNH. He's the primary care doctor for the Buccaneers.
Okay.
So I think what Chip did, he got Will Howard in a rhythm. He did, similar to what the Bills have done, Joe Brady, with Josh Allen, with a lot of easy throws, completion.
That's great point. Yep.
Almost like I work with quarterbacks, Pete. I mean, really. But I think it was a good way to get the game going. And then they ran the ball. And the thing that's really interesting about Ohio State, just from when you study them and look at their team, their running backs are both 3-down guys, which is very rare in today's football. And it's going to bode well for them in their future in the NFL because they can do a variety of roles. Like you take our Patriots teams throughout the year. Antoine Smith and Corey Dillon were like the only really bell cow guys who got the ball all the time in the 20-year run of TB. And then they had, LeGarrette Blount, Dion Lewis, James White, Kevin Falk,
Woodhead. But how about
Shane Vereen, guys like that? They'll rotate.
The great stuff.
I mentioned Rex Burkhead.
How about Redmond back in 2001? And I remember, I was on the
Super Bowl winning drive. First play of that drive, Tommy's going to get sacked by Leonard Little, and he's hit JR in the flat.
Yeah, and I remember back in the day when the touchdown twins, Ryan Hobson and Kevin Mannix, were on WEI, and I happened to be doing a show that day with Dale that day. And I remember said, J.R. Redmond's going to be an integral part of the Super Bowl. I go, you watch. And they kind of not poo-pooed it, but they sort of poo-pooed it. And I went, well, I'm telling you, this is not going to just J.R. Redmond. Those are the kind of guys over the years. I miss the Danny Woodheads of the world. I love that kid. Loved him. And I liked it when he went to
the story? It's very funny. And my buddy Tyler just chimed in. The story of how the Patriots got Danny Woodhead.
I don't remember. Go ahead, refresh my memory.
He was on the Jets.
He was a free. Yes,
he was on the.
Yes, go ahead. I remember this. Go ahead.
He's a small college guy from Montclair State, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And he was going to be the 53rd man. And Braylon Edwards was going to serve a drug suspension. So they had to waive Danny Woodhead, and the Patriots claimed him. And they ended up getting him. And then he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, the second one they lost to the goddamn Giants.
Yeah.
And, he was a great, great player. And I believe he's got a cool job now. I remember reading something. Was he in the Olympics or something, like bobsled or something, like Herschel Walker?
I want to say,
it was a weird story.
But you talk about Danny Woodhead back then, and it wasn't.
He's smaller than me.
That wasn't just a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Do you remember how many great plays he made? And he started. Remember, he started a couple of games too.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
One
But
of the
that guy,
funnier
he
ones.
really fumbled. He was just clutch. And you couldn't see him. He was like a hobbit.
Yeah.
You're just like squirting through the line sometimes. You go through people's legs, and he's like, how did he do that? And he was one of my favorite Patriot players during that run. He was great.
One of my favorite plays of the Tommy Belichick era was they were playing Denver, and there was like a 3rd and 18, and they hit Danny Woodhead on a trap screen play, and he got the first down. It was it's like a trap run, and there was like it's like a wide zone they did, and he got it. It was awesome.
I mean,
Tyler, thanks for coming in, buddy. Appreciate you being here. That's my
Tyler.
buddy and his family come to Michigan games. Are my buddies.
Awesome.
His little daughter's one of my favorites.
Oh, fantastic! Well, thanks for joining the show. And Woodhead, like a stiff breeze would knock him down, right? Because he was so small. But man, if you missed him, you missed a tackle, and he juked you. Forget it. I mean, you just get burned by the tiniest person on the planet in football.
I liked your comments about him because you remember Lionel James.
Oh yeah,
Lionel James who played with Bo Jackson at Auburn, and he was on the Chargers.
Yeah.
So that type of player, smaller guy. There's very few of those guys. Now, this Ashton Genty kid is like a Darren Sproles possibility in the NFL, if not a bigger role than that. But you'll see more of the smaller backs in the league now because of we just talked about the rotation backs. But again, and you have people like fools like John Harbaugh who decide not to use King Henry on 2-point plays at the end of games. But that's a whole other show. But it's just idiocy. Let's have a Lamar throw when that's not really what we do well. But again, people that don't understand their own roster and their team. Not with Chip Kelly and Ryan Day last night. They realized who their butters their bread. And the Notre Dame got stupid with the cover 0, and then they hit Smith to win the game. And having 29 off, you have to have him up if you're playing cover 0. You don't give the guy a 10-yard running start.
I totally agree. You can't, and that's I said it yesterday. If they're going to play a lot of man, they're going to get burned. And you saw it. The Christian Gray came in and could not handle. It was a perfectly thrown ball by Will Howard, though. I mean, that was a perfectly thrown ball, even though he was beat.
Made himself some money on these playoff games. By the way, he's probably going to get about the 4th or 5th round, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little higher because quarterbacks always get overdrafted. And I like Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard will probably go in the 2nd or 3rd round. Just because the thing that's helping both of them is Bo Nix, and they both got different traits.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to look like Superman and play, and you don't want to be like somebody like the old Tommy, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff model, the big mobile guy.
Yeah.
They're in between. And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys work out and throw. I know both Will Howard and Riley Leonard will do really well on interviews because they come off well. They handle, particularly Riley Leonard. I mean, the guy won games at Duke, for Christ's sakes. Yeah. And well, now they become good, by the way. But
they have. Many D's have done a great job with them, and I think they'll continue to get better.
Yeah, and Mike Elko got the CSN job. Yeah,
you got to have quarterbacks. I mean, you got to pay. It's that simple. Yeah, you don't have a top-notch quarterback in this country, and in the Power Fives for the most part, you're not going to win.
You're learning that with your Miami team. And by the way, just to give you an early prediction for 2025, by the time I come on here by Halloween next year, you're gonna hate Carson Beck.
I'm not going to. Here's the thing. I told you before. Right now, I'm not counting on Carson Beck.
See, you're smart.
Well, no,
you shouldn't.
Well, no. I think the numbers prove he's a damn good quarterback, one of the best in the country. I got frustrated watching him this year at times too. There's no doubt about it. But in Cristobal's system and what they're going to do, the way it's a lot different than the way Georgia plays. It's a lot different for it. I think it's going to be a better
QB friendly.
However, but I'm just worried. Look. I don't know if the guy's going to be there for opening day against Notre Dame. The guy had a serious elbow injury on his throwing arm. He cannot throw until March. They say March. I'm saying for me, I'm thinking May. I'm thinking May because they always unless he's got some miracle healing. I am not counting on that guy to be the starting quarterback opening day. I'm just not. I told you that kid they're bringing in from Georgia, not the University of Georgia, but from Georgia, like he
High school
the last name. That's the guy that the two-way that can throw, he can run.
Yep.
Look at his highlights in high school, just absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I seen
So he's the guy I think is going to be. If Carson Beck comes back and we'll see. I hope he's ready. I don't think he's going to be ready for the spring game. I don't think so. He may if he's ready for the spring game, we'll see. But I am not counting on him coming back until May. They say March. I'm saying personally May. So
yeah, I mean that's around the time. The March would be around the spring game. So
yeah.
No, and again, he got the Brock Purdy surgery, right?
Yeah, the UCL on his throwing elbow.
Yep.
Yeah,
he got the Brock. He didn't get Tommy John. He got the Brock Purdy, the plate thing. Okay. It's called the brace.
That's what it was. Yeah, Woodhead's an amateur golfer, I believe. That's according to Dylan. So
there you go.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But I think you're smart not to depend on him. And you might want to go and bring in another low level, like a guy from the MAC, an upside guy backup. Like if he wasn't a jackass and quit on BC, somebody like Thomas Castellanos. So,
yeah, he was.
But I mean, you can get Mita Perel will tell you some stuff.
Oh yeah, he already has. He already has. It's too bad it came down to that.
I wouldn't hire him to guard my lawn and I rent. No, I mean it was interesting to see. But no, I think you're right about the quarterbacks. And I think you're seeing in just about even in the NFL, in every game, the better quarterback advanced. And one of the odder things in these games from the weekend was the team that lost the game had more yards and usually significantly, particularly the Houston game.
Yeah,
the Baltimore game and the Lions game was weird because
but
they
the
were
Houston
so far
game, though,
behind.
the Houston game, you really got to factor. And I hate doing this, and it sucks that we have to, but you really got to factor in the refereeing in the Houston.
Oh, without
game.
question.
Two atrocious calls against Houston that changed the whole dynamics of the game. It shouldn't come down to that, and that's why I think Buffalo can win in Kansas City. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I know the Chiefs have won 3 of the last 4 in the playoffs against them. But you're fighting, and I hate saying this because I feel like some people would say this about the Patriots back in the day as well. You're fighting the offense, but it's so egregious. And the flop attempt by Patrick Mahomes the last game against Houston, man, you're better than that. My wife in the other room was.
What's coming.
But don't be doing that, Patrick. And he didn't get the call. Thank God he didn't get the call. For that one. But the other two were the 2 Houston players smashed helmet to helmet and they called targeting and nobody got thrown out. You cannot miss those calls. And there's a lot of people, I think even you say, we heard D'Amico Ryans, we heard some CJ Stroud, it's bad enough you got to play in Kansas City and that crowd and everything else. But when you make plays and the referees take them away from you, that sucks. It really does. I hope that's not the case Sunday at 6:30 when Buffalo plays Kansas City.
Of course it will be.
I'm rooting for the Bills.
It's going to be like you and me back in the day watching the WWE with Captain Lou and Mr. Fuji. That's what it's going to be like.
Mr. Saito.
Like, and Bobby the Brain and Slick. It's your expectations. But unlike the Bills, unlike the Texans, the Bills have to overcome the penalties and not miss field goals, not do bad, stupid things on special teams, and not try a 55-yard field goal in bad conditions. The things that Coach Demasio made a lot of mistakes.
But the one thing about Buffalo, they can feel confident because they've beaten that team. They know how to beat them.
But their defense worries me because their defense isn't very good. And I'm concerned. I know they force turnovers, but you and I both know this. If you relying on forcing turnovers is not a really good success because there's a lot of variance to it. So you just can't, And by the way, I don't think the Chiefs have had a turnover in like eight weeks of games. Look that up. I saw that stat.
Look, I just think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I, for the life of me, do not understand how Travis Kelce is open all the time. I mean, open all the time. And I said, yeah, yesterday, you look at the touchdown that he scored. There were a couple
Well,
Houston guys
I mean,
around
I have
him.
a theory.
But
I have a
he was
theory.
standing there alone with two Houston. He just stood there, and he was there for like 3 seconds. Hey, Patrick, I know you're scrambling, but here I am.
No.
And he didn't have to move. He didn't have to jump. He didn't have to duck. Patrick hit him right in the chest or right in the hands, and nobody, not even grazed, nothing, not even a hangnail. Open the whole game. How can you leave the best receiver that they have, who happens to be a tight end, open the entire game? So I'm sure that Sean McDermott and company are going to at least try to slow him down. You got to shadow him in this game. You got to.
You know who they're going to put on him, right? Probably DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
And Matt Miliano. Matt Miliano and DeMar Hamlin would be there.
Milano, yeah. I would think Milano would be first, but Hamlin fought for it's a great story.
He played really well in the game. He's had a really good year for the Bills and had a really good game last week.
Yeah.
He got a safety blitz and a safety. He got a sack on Lamar.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. No, but again, going back to Ohio State, I think they won because of the line of scrimmage. They won both sides of the ball. That D line, they have the three senior kids who went 0-4 against Michigan, and they went out the tackles in the offensive line of Ohio State. And you made a great point about the running game. You're going to hear about how hurt Love was. He's got a knee. But Notre Dame should have other running backs. They should always have running backs.
Next man up.
Yeah, and I just think I hated the field goal, and I like Marcus Freeman.
And the fake punt too didn't work out either. 4th and 2. They had a guy open. They had a guy open, and they missed it.
Yeah, and I also thought that Ohio State did a good job of mixing and matching with their offense. They did a couple basic plays, and then they did, the jet sweep type fake action stuff, and they have some good things going, and they have some good players. Obviously, I mean, they just won the Natty, and they have probably 1 and 2 players in the country coming back, and Caleb Downs and Smith. So, and we'll see. But again, none of them have beaten Michigan. But hey, they'll get their chance in November. But it is what it is. But I thought it was funny. You joked about you had the McAfee story where McAfee asked Day about us, which I thought was funny before the game, which was it's and by the way, that's what he deals with. And the other thing, it's very strange, but if you understand, they get the gold pants for beating us, and these senior kids who just won the Natty went 0-4 against us, and they're going to be asked, how many gold pants do you have? They all get asked this. You're going to be interviewing Vrabel and other Ohio State guys. They don't have any gold pants, and they just won the Natty, which is very weird. So, but again, it's the way they set this playoff up. It's not the old model, and we're going to get to 16. You and I both know that it's coming.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're going to have the old, under the old model. Neither they nor Notre Dame would have made the playoffs, and it's going to be different. But hey, give them credit; they played great in the games they played. They beat 3 really good teams, and
4 beyond Notre Dame. I think they beat 4 really good teams.
I'm sorry, 4. Excuse me, 4. Yeah,
Notre Dame. I mean, seriously, but if you look at the complete body of work, Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame's probably 4th on that list. 4th toughest on that list. I think Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas are better than Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's a good point by Auto Digest talking about the last 7 or 8 years have been blowouts. Yep. Our game last year was a blowout. I remember that. Yeah, well, the Joe Burrow team was like 55-35.
Yeah. Well, all Ohio State's wins in the playoff were blowouts. I mean, Texas was a 14. The Texas game was kind of like this one, but they were up 31-7. I mean, Ohio State's up 31-7. In that.
Yeah.
So
and they won with the late Sawyer. fumble return against Texas. That game was fairly competitive. But
Yeah,
no,
it
I'm
was.
proud. I'm proud of Ohio State. They've scored more than 10 points in a couple games.
You can't just help yourself.
The
You cannot just
when you
help
bring me
yourself.
on, hey, I'm going to be nice, but I'm going to also dig. I'm going to also dig at them. So,
Well, you would hate it. I mean, there's some Michigan fans down there in Southwest Florida, Jay, but this is like Columbus South. There are some
I know.
Ohio State bars down here that are, and I appreciate the passion of any football fans. I do,
Mm-hmm.
but man, it is it is unbelievable.
Yep.
You come down here sometime. I'll take you to a Michigan Ohio State game at Harold's. You won't make it because it's all it's this place, great bar in Naples, right? It's also connected to a hotel with a pool and everything, and you can great atmosphere and all that stuff. They only show Ohio State games on Saturday. That's it on every television, because the owner went there and everything else. But I would love to take you there in your Michigan gear, and
they would love me. Hey, bring in the guy who helped bring Harbaugh out of Michigan. There you go. That will go over real well.
Well, before go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk. Go ahead.
No. You talk. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I mean, one of the cool things about where you live, and you're a great example, and Angel is too, people relocate and move down there, and there are really very few really, quote, home teams. You bring the teams you adopt, like you're a Patriots, Red Sox.
Absolutely. That's what makes living down here great. And this is why, I'm not up in Boston like Felger and talking about for 4 hours for 5 days in a row because Drake May didn't come to Mike Vrabel's press conference. I mean, that's the kind of minutia bullshit that I don't care. I think it's so irrelevant. I think it's completely irrelevant. And I don't know if people say that crap just for shits and giggles. I don't know, between him, that kind of stuff, and Ben Bolin, who's just one of the worst beat reporters from the globe on the planet, just absolutely eats so much crow, it seems, on a weekly basis. I don't miss that stuff.
He didn't do very well with the Robin Glazer thing. If you've been following that,
but Kirk Minahan broke that story from Barstool. I mean,
within 5 minutes of him saying that, I had people involved directly with the Patriots telling me that was true.
Yeah.
So
no, I trust him. Fucking Minahan's been solving crimes in New England. Have you seen some of the stuff that has happened? That he's helped police departments solve crime. I mean, look, I'm a huge Kirk guy. We've worked together before.
Sure.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
He's gone through some mental issues as well, health-wise and all that stuff. I'm glad he's doing better. By the way, Ryan Day is in that boat too. Ryan Day and his wife.
Yeah, about his family situation.
They have a foundation. I mean, his dad committed suicide when he was 9 years old. I mean, it's terrible. But they have a foundation.
So I should tell you about this. One of my good buddies in Michigan families, the Vasquezes, they were here at Michigan. Joey played football and baseball here. He transferred from here to Ohio State. They're from Columbus. Jason is the dad. They have 9 kids. Joey is like the second kid. And he just won back-to-back natties. He won with Michigan and Ohio State. He's a special teams player on Ohio State. And they just won the natty. And so I know a lot about Ryan Day. I've actually talked to his son, who's a big quarterback recruit. Yeah. And they're all friends with the Days and the Vasquezes are very good friends. So I know a lot about Ryan Day. I'm on here to hammer them because that's what I do. But
I get it.
It's kind of I'm like the warden of the big house, so I have to fuel the fire. But no, give them credit for winning, and maybe next year they'll beat us. So so maybe not. But it is what it is. But
I'll be watching it. It's always one of the best games.
A lot of people will be watching it, and we'll see. And Sharon will have the guys ready to play. And Max Bredesen will be trying to go 5-0 against Ohio State.
And again, when you win the national title, no matter what team you are, you're going to have, or what sport you're in, professional or college, you're going to have the big red X on the back or black X on the back of your jersey. You're going to get everybody's best game. Not that doesn't happen on a weekly basis. By
the way, Ohio State gets the best game almost all the time anyways. But you're right. Yeah, it's. I mean, the great example is the 0-2 Patriots. Where they
started off 4-0.
They snuck up on everybody, and then the next year they started
off 4-0. They started off 4-0, and I remember it came down to that last game. They win, and freaking Brett Favre couldn't make a play and knocked them out of the playoffs. They finished 9-7 after starting off 4-0. Dylan, Auto Racing Digest guy, says Fort Myers, there isn't any home team in terms of pros. I guess you have the Twins and Red Sox for spring training, and then the Everblades, FGCU. Yeah, and the Mighty Muscle. No, all of that is true. And they do a great job. JetBlue, obviously, I live 2 miles away. I mean, I can almost see it if I walk outside of my house down Daniels. It's the only thing bad about that is the traffic sometimes, but I don't head out in my car during game day for that stuff unless I go to it. And Hammond Stadium, where the Twins play, they are great people over there as well. The Mighty Muscles down here, what are they affiliate of? Toronto, I think. The Blue Jays, they do a great job. Minor League Baseball just does such a great job.
I mentioned Dr. Fred. He works for the Blue Jays. Dr. Fred works for the Blue Jays, too.
Okay.
My buddy from the Buccaneers. The Blue Jays minor league affiliate, I forget their name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and of course, the Everblades have won back-to-back ECHL Kelly Cup titles, and they have been on a roll again. I mean, I don't know. I'm supposed to have Chris Palin on the GM this week. I'm hoping to. That is a first-class organization. It is, if you ever get down here, I got to take you to an Everblades game. 7,500 people every single night selling out, at Hertz Arena. It's really, really great stuff. Great hockey. They do great promotions. But yeah,
they're in the East. They're in the East Coast. They're in the East Coast League. Okay, so people don't understand that. That's Slapshot. That's a goon squad. That's.
But it's good. But it's.
Oh, I know.
Some of that occasionally, but not. It's not like Slapshot was because you can't.
Well, for today's version of Slapshot.
For today's version, it would be AA hockey. Okay, AHL is AAA hockey. Obviously, the NHL, the ECHL would be like AA hockey, like AA baseball. Although AA baseball has kind of gone up, and AAA baseball is more for the. That's all they're ever going to be. Where AA baseball is where all the big prospects are. But my bigger point in this hot conversation started is, I love the diversity down here. And even when I was at ESPN Southwest Florida, I love the diversity because you have fans and people from all over the place. Even on this show, it's great because we can have these conversations about college football and about different teams in the NFL, and it's not just about the minutia of Drake May not coming to Mike Vrabel's press conference. I hated doing shows like that. I couldn't stand it. I would try to avoid the top. I mean, you can only get so far with it, but they milk it up there. Some of those shows milk it up there like it is such a big deal, and it just becomes monotonous. We're down here, we can sit here and talk about, you and I can talk about college football all day, tweaking the system. There's some good stuff, interesting possible format changes I want to run by you coming out of the ACC, which, college football is a copycat type of thing. One conference does it, sometimes the other ones do. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. But that's my bigger point is the diversity down here is what I love the best because people are from all over the place. Down here in Florida, we have, you have your Florida fans. You have the Big Ten Regency, I like to call it, with all the Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota people that are down here. You have your Northeast contingency. You got your Steeler fans down here. There's a big Steeler bar down here in Fort Myers. I mean, so it's great. There's a big Buffalo bar. I think Rusty's down here had a huge Buffalo Bills party the other night as well. So that's what I love about it. I want to talk about sports and have fun talking about sports. I don't give a shit if Drake May comes to Mike Vrabel's press conference. You think that really mentally affected the team, or that's worth 4 hours a day for 4 or 5 days in a row? It's just
so Drake May sat at home and said, I'm going to screw over my new boss and not intentionally not show up at his press conference.
Yeah. Oh, Rick's right too. Eagles fans, yes, tons of Eagles fans down here as well.
Yeah. So the other part, I think. Pete, you and I are both in the same demographic, even though I'm in Michigan. With all this streaming and different viewing options, we can watch any game we want. So we can be Mets fans, Red Sox fans, Patriots fans, even you Miami fans, even though you're in Florida. If you were in Montana, you could watch Miami.
Yeah, of course.
So
every game's on TV.
Yeah, and that's one of the cooler things about being an out-of-state fan. Like as a great example, I'm at work yesterday in the middle of the afternoon, and I put ESPN Plus on, and I got the Bruins game.
Yes,
so
me too.
I've got it on at work.
Yep.
Yeah. So and it's cool. Yeah,
That's what
it
I
was
did
good.
yesterday. I watched the Bruins on ESPN Plus, which I have. And
Matt Pietrus, baby.
boy, I got to tell you though, I have so many there's a lot of stuff I get for free, but I pay for a lot of these apps.
Sure.
I got to tell you, if you get Disney
Pete,
Plus,
by the way, write it off for your taxes. It's part of your job.
oh, I always do. Trust me.
Good
Try
man.
to anyway.
Good
Disney
man.
Plus. Disney Plus has that thing. They had a promotion back in September, right? 99 cents for 3 months, or $1.99 for 3 months. So I was like, yeah, all right. I'll sign up for it. For 3 months, I don't care. Not that I watch a lot of Disney, but they have every single tons of some cool stuff on there that's
Star Wars and different
Discovery
stuff,
Channel. They have some really good documentaries, and of course they have all the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars stuff. Anything. I mean, it's a good channel. Try to cancel it.
Yep.
I went through. I finally, and I don't have it packaged with Hulu and ESPN Plus, which you can do. They have a deal with Hulu, Disney, and ESPN Plus, which you can do. I have Hulu separately. I already have no commercials. It is what it is. It's like $20 a month, but I use it, so I don't care. But this those promotions that they do on these apps, right, Jay? And you have to cancel. If you see the fine print, must cancel or click on here to cancel. Otherwise, they'll start charging you $11.99 for basic Disney Plus. So
that's what I do. That's what I have. Yeah.
I tried to cancel through several different outlets. Nothing. Couldn't get to anybody. Couldn't online.
Oh, Pete,
Three different sites. Then I had that, listen to this. Then I had this Rocket thing too that keeps track of all your apps, and they will cancel apps for you. Even they couldn't do it. They're like, I need more information. I go, I don't have anything. I don't have any kids. I gave you the email it was addressed to, and all that stuff. Finally, they send me an 888 phone number. I get in touch with a guy who could barely speak English. After 20 minutes of me trying to explain, don't cancel my ESPN Plus account, because I've always had that separate for years. Just cancel the $11.50 you're going to charge me for day. It took 20 minutes. 20 minutes and 4 days of going online and trying to find somebody or anybody and they finally did it. But you try. For those of you out there who have Disney Plus and you want to cancel, good luck. Call the 888 number if you can find it, because that's the only way. It was so frustrating.
Yeah. And I just do ESPN Plus. I used to have the Disney when I was into The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
and all that, and then all that stuff happened with Gina Carino, and I canceled it. Oh. And so I just do ESPN Plus. I'm happy with it. It's great for me because there's a lot of college baseball. You mentioned I can watch all the Bruins.
Yep.
I have MLB TV for the Mets.
Yep.
So I don't need a lot of stuff. And I get NFL Plus to watch all 22 and replays and things. So I'm in a good situation. I got other apps. I got YouTube TV.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Vasquez. They gave me YouTube TV.
By the way, if you watched the games on YouTube TV last night, did you get streaming issues at all as far as
No.
No.
No, I had it on. Yeah, it was on ESPN. I think ESPN. Yeah, at ESPN. Yeah, and I had no problems. Listen, I could be a spokesman for YouTube TV. I really like it. I don't pay for it, but I like it.
I do too. I love it, and I get the football package. I love it. And you get, because I have it. I only had to pay instead of $400, basically.
And I got to say,
you get a $100 discount.
You're right. I got to say the other one. And Kathy, my business partner, got me into this during COVID. Is Apple TV, and she said, Beav, you got to watch Ted Lasso.
Well, Ted Lasso is great.
Oh my God! And the funniest thing, the thing that makes Ted Lasso so great, was the premise behind it and how the show kind of evolved. So if people don't understand, I'm going to do a spoiler here if you don't watch Ted Lasso. So they hire this small college football coach.
Wichita
State. And
which doesn't even have a football team, does it? Or it's Division
I
3.
know, it's funny. This jilted woman who's been divorced by her cheating husband hires this guy to sabotage her soccer team and make her husband miserable.
It's like Major League. It's like Major League. Very similar premise there. But she is so unbelievably great.
Yes,
So
yes.
many.
I let you walk and use your words. I didn't know what word to say.
The Ted
But
it is the most charming series, and people may think it's an effeminate. It is the most charming series I've ever seen in my life. And if you watch every episode, it's funny, it's brilliantly written, the acting is tremendous.
And the mental health stuff too.
If you don't tear up at least 3 or 4 times, not an episode, but throughout the 3 seasons it was on, absolutely amazing. And the one that always stands out to me is the Christmas episode when
Phoebe in her bad breath. Oh my God!
And they bring the signs to the door, and then
Roy's sitting behind her like, I'm going to beat you up. Be nice. It's so fun.
Here's Roy Kent.
He's the best character in the show. He says, "Your Phoebe, your breast's not that bad," and then he goes and stands in front of her and breathes, and he thinks, "I think I'm gonna die." So
there are so many great.
By the way, Pete, the funniest thing, Brett is the actor who plays Roy Kent. Roy Kent.
I have a Roy Kent shirt.
He doesn't sound like Roy Kent.
No,
he does his voice for the show.
Yeah. No, I've heard. I have a Kent shirt. It says "Whistle, whistle." Remember, I used to say "Tart," and then remember when Jamie first got Jamie Tart, Jamie Tart,
Jamie Tart. By the way, what a great job!
And then how about Danny? How about Danny though? Football is life.
Yes. But the best one is Phil, who plays Jamie Tart.
Yeah,
such a great realm with his character. He was the biggest dick on the show,
and then he became.
And then he's likable. The thing with his dad.
Yes.
The thing with his dad, and he just went from the villain of the show to, and there's so many good actors on that show.
And Ted making treats every week for Rebecca,
the biscuits,
making
the biscuits he brings,
basically fudge kind of every week. I mean, in English, biscuits are not like biscuits and gravy like we think down here. Biscuits in the UK are cookies.
Yeah,
or some sort of a fudge cookie, whatever. But yeah. But
they're saying they're coming back. They say they're coming back for another season. So we're waiting on that announcement.
Yeah,
I'm excited because Jack Reacher's about to start up in about a month. So I love Jack.
I know a lot of my friends love that too. I can't watch everything. I watch so much. I've got.
Well, you would like Jack Reacher. Reacher.
I've seen the first season. It's excellent. Okay. I like it a lot. Yeah. It's just like trying to mix everything in with sports and trying to get everything going, but.
Well, wait until we get 2 more NFL games left, and then 3 more. Three more NFL games, and then after that, you can go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, then you start binging during the, and then
wait till you see the big 7'5" guy they're bringing in to fight Reacher's character. If you haven't seen it yet,
no,
he's from Game of Thrones. This big Swedish guy.
Oh, did he play the Mountain? Or
yes, well, something like that. He's a 7'5" guy.
Yeah.
You'll see it. It's all over the place.
Yeah,
he's about 1.5 foot taller than Allen, who plays.
Yeah, he was the one that protected Cece during all the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Mountain or the 2 brothers who fought.
The 2 brothers. One was the Mountain. The Mountain was the nicer one, I think. Who was and the other one that was big that couldn't speak?
Yes. Hound. The Hound and the Mountain. The
Hound was the good guy. The sort of good guy. The Mountain was his brother, who they fought and they both fell off the cliff at the end and got killed. That scene, do you remember you watch Game of Thrones, right?
Of course.
That scene, the scene where the badass fighter, the good guy that was like gymnastic guy with the spear and everything else, and had the Mountain down, had him down and out, remember?
You know who that is, by the way? That's the Mandalorian.
That's right. That is a Mandalorian.
That's the Mandalorian.
That's right.
Yep.
But remember that scene? He had him down and out. And
you raped my daughter. You raped my sister. You will append. You will amend and admit what you did. And then he slices his throat.
But I'm talking about the one scene. He gets
where
to
they're
him.
fighting.
He's got him down.
They're choosing violence. Yes.
Yeah. Until right when he didn't. Right when he thought he was dying, and then the Mountain's eyes open up on the thing, and then he takes his head.
Yep, smashes him.
And puts his eye like this, and then just squishes it. And they showed it it just squishes it like a melon.
Oh no,
that was. I sat there, and I kind of knew it was going to, but I went, Oh my God! And I said that a lot during
When
that.
you watch it now and you realize who that is now
Yeah,
and what he does, forget the guy's real name.
I do too. But Mandalorian was
But
great. I love Mandalorian. I have a baby Grogu.
Uh,
I have baby Grogu here somewhere.
yeah, but he's what's that guy's name? I forget his real
I
name.
forget it. It's
He's
all right.
he's in those tequila commercials too. He's
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
but the other thing you mentioned you mentioned you mentioned Ted Lasso. Rebecca
Yeah.
she's in Game of Thrones. She's the shame priest.
She is. That's her only scene. And yes, she is
Yes.
the same shame
Yes.
because she loved it and everything else. She is so goddamn
Well,
beautiful.
there's
And she's a
the
great
video
singer,
of
too.
her. There's the video of her and Cersei in real life running into each other in London.
Oh.
And they started talking, and they just randomly ran into each other.
Well,
It's
have you ever
pretty funny.
seen? Do you ever see the Houston Rockets video where? Oh my God, what's her name? The Queen of Dragons. What's her name?
Emilia Clarke.
Amelia Clark comes in. You ever see that video?
Mm-mm. No, what's up?
Google it. The mascot starts walking towards. She's in the front row of a Rockets game. This was again a few years ago, and all of a sudden she had no idea it was coming. She's just sitting there, looking nice and cute and minding her own business. And all of a sudden they had introduced, or was pregame, probably right before tip off, and you hear the announcer. You hear sort of the music starts to get Game of Thrones-ish.
Yeah.
And the mascot's name, wherever it is for the Rockets, starts walking over to her on the side. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest tonight. Here she is, the Queen of Dragons. And when you say that, the mascot bends down, bends the knee to her, gives her flowers or whatever it is. And she's like, she was flipping out. It was really, really cool when they did it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to Google it someday.
By the way, she doesn't dress or look like her character. She
No,
kind of
not at all.
Yeah.
No,
like
not at all.
Cersei's the same way. By the way, Cersei's really
Yeah.
but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, some good stuff as we digress here. But yeah, Rebecca, not only that, I forget her real name in life, she's tremendous. She's won
She's a Broadway theater person. Yes.
She had her own Christmas special. She can sing, she can dance, she can act, and she seems like the sweetest person on the planet. And man, oh man.
It's not bad to look at, Pete. You can say it.
It's just everything about her. Everything about her like oozes sexiness. Hey, I could say it. My wife's fawning over Mike Vrabel every day.
It's a good thing Mike is good. It's a good thing Mike's good looking because he went to a really bad college. So what else, Pete, you want to talk about?
All right, so
I love Mike Vrabel, by the way. I'm half kidding.
Yeah. We're just going to keep it going. It's going to be a shorter show today because Angel's off, and I'm trying to hold my I got a little stomach thing going on today, whatever. And I tell you, it's fucking cold down here today. It's raw, and it's just. I'm not asking for sympathy, but from anybody around the country, I know you guys are dealing with. It's probably 2 degrees where you are. It's barely 50 degrees here, but it was raw and rainy. I know, raw and rainy and cold. Really, really, really cold. The problem is, it was so beautiful over the weekend. And a little bit muggy, so much so we had to have the air conditioning on, which is rare for this time of year.
Oh, tough day.
Once the humidity, gets to above 65%, you got to put the AC. That's not going to happen now. But it's tough not to be able to open the doors because it's so freaking raw and cold. They're going to get snow. Here's another thing, Jay. Up in Tallahassee today, you Florida State people, you're getting snow and ice today. A little bit of snow, a little frost, and I know. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking.
You're not going to get it from me.
But it's annoying. It's annoying. I like to go swimming. I like to get some exercise after the show sometimes. And days like this, it ain't going to happen. Oh, humanity. All right, let's get into more college football stuff a little bit. As far as tweaking, they're going to this Sunday is going to be and Heather Dinich had this yesterday. Or 2 days ago. But coming up Sunday is the annual meeting of the FBS commissioners and the presidents and chancellors who control the playoff. I guess wasn't expected to produce any immediate course of action, but it was the first time that people with the power to change the playoff met in person, I guess this past Sunday, to begin a review of the historic expanded bracket. So what's his name? Rich Clark, the CFP executive director, said the group talked about a lot of really important issues, but the meeting at the Hilton set the stage for bigger decisions that need to be made very soon, quote unquote. Commissioners would have to unanimously agree upon any changes to the 12-team format to implement them for the 2025 season. He goes on to say, I would say it's possible, but I don't know it's going to happen or not. There's probably some things that could happen in short order that might be tweaks until 2025 season, but that's yet to be determined. Now, I think that just goes, okay, it's not going to be 16 next year, but it will be by 2026.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen. So there's other tweaks that need to be made in this as well. And I thought, let me run this by. I don't know if you saw this, what the ACC is planning. And as I said, sports is just a copycat thing. Mm-hmm. So the conversations going on, Jim Phillips, commissioner of the ACC, said he would consider giving its regular. Let me get through these, and I want to get your thoughts.
Sure.
Phillips said that the ACC could consider giving the regular season champs a bye and have the teams that finish second or third in the league standings play in the ACC championship game. He said another possibility is having the top 4 teams play in the final weekend of the regular season. First would play 4, 2 would play 3, with the winners playing the following weekend in the ACC title game. And said Phillips is going to have conversations with league head coaches on a conference call next week to get their feedback on the plan, specifically pointing to comments SMU coach Brett Lashley made leading up to the game, in which he indicated the Mustangs might be better off not playing to protect its spot on the field. Anyway, at least those 2 possibilities, and that could apply to other conferences as well, maybe. But what do you think about that in the ACC? Those 2 things. 1, the regular season champ gets a bye, and 2, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, and then the winners play again. More football.
Okay, these guys, they can't get out of their own way. What does Division I AA do? Do what they do.
I agree.
They're making this too complicated. Listen, time out. I'm about to blow a casket. Stop chasing money. Stop chasing money. Do things. Be smart.
No, those two are like water and oil. You know that.
Oh, I know.
The more money they can make, and people will watch. People will watch. There's no question. And I know there's some people out there still down on the college football play. I mean, it's going to be tweaked. But like you said, Ohio State may not have won. And I say it all the time, the gap has closed. It is not just the SEC, even though the Big Ten's won the last 2 titles, and congratulations. But I'm saying the gap has closed, particularly with the SEC and everybody else. It is not the be-all, end-all anymore. I'm sorry if people in the SEC think it just means more. It means more to a lot of other schools, too, because of NIL and the transfer portal. Now, they have to tighten up some of those rules. There is no question about it. They have to tighten up some of those rules. But, it's to me, the more football, the better. And you can talk about, the people say, well, there were so many blowouts this year. Well, there have been blowouts when the BCS system was there, the first college football player. TCU Georgia was a disgrace. I mean, so look, I think
we didn't do our job.
I think it'll get better and better and better. I know a lot of people are down on college football this year because of a lot of things. I don't think a lot of people understood what the actual rules were. But
the transition with the Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC and the Pac-12 teams joining the Big Ten, it was a very odd year.
By the way, did you hear? One of my favorite people, speaking of the Pac-10, which is it's hard to believe that UCLA is in the Pac-10. Oh, by the way, did you see
the Big Ten?
Did you see the video I posted earlier today that what happened with Ryan Day and Will Howard in the golf cart after the game?
Yeah, the poor girl driving the. Yeah,
what is she thinking? And then she wedged the tire in so bad. You got to. I mean, people haven't seen it. I can't pull it up today because Angel's not here. But what an idiot! I mean, I don't care, man or woman. I mean, they couldn't even.
It was Austin Powers. Austin Powers scene.
It was crazy. Now, hang on. Let me get. I want this. This is kind of funny.
It's funny.
Hang on. Where is it? This happened, and Cronin's been called out his team, and blah blah blah. He's gotten ejected, and they finally won a big game recently. Against Rutgers, I think, whatever it was. So this is him, Mike Cronin, the head coach of UCLA basketball team.
Oh yeah, Mick Cronin. Yep.
Somebody asked him about traveling and all that stuff, and how
the Statue of Liberty. Yep.
Listen to this.
So much has been made about you guys going east. You just came back from prolonged East Coast trip.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, have you seen anything from the teams that have to come out here and stay out here? Is there any kind of balance with that in terms of the wear and tear and just what you've seen on the
Wear
court?
and tear on them?
Yeah.
Is that a joke? Please tell me that's a joke.
Is it even comparable, is essentially what I'm trying to say.
Have you ever looked at the NBA stats and what the gamblers and all those people do on West versus East? Talk to Eric Musselman, ask him that question, who coached in the NBA. Good luck, West, going East. Okay, and ask me UCLA's record east of the Mississippi in the last 20 years. Because when I got the job, I looked it up for scheduling purposes. It's under 500, okay? We have to go back 4 times. The Big Ten teams get to come to Los Angeles where it's 70 degrees 1 time a year. They don't even have to switch hotels. We're 12 miles apart. Are you kidding me? Please tell me you're kidding me. Is this a plan? Is this a planted question? I mean, you cannot be serious with that. And meanwhile, we've seen the Eiffel Tower, or we've seen the Statue of Liberty twice in the last 3 weeks while we were landing. We also saw downtown. We also saw the Capitol building. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, you can't possibly. And we still got to go back, and then we got to go back for the Big Ten tournament. You can't possibly be serious.
Well, that's the thing. You have 4 more trips of those to make.
Yeah.
So
they do it 1 time. You can't possibly stop. I'm going to eat, man. You can't. I mean, he's asked me to feel sorry.
Maybe you should
I wanted to come down.
No, that's right. He's fine. But no, Mike, come on, Mike. You're misunderstanding the question. I thought the question was legitimate. He was trying to, as Glenn used to say, you're making my point. I think the reporter was trying to make Mike Cronin's point exactly that he was just trying to say, look, it's not fair that you guys have to travel all those miles and these Eastern teams come over like Rutgers and they have a party going to UCLA and USC, and it's just not the same. But he's not one of my favorite people in the world. He doesn't give a shit. I love him.
Well, how about when he threw his team under the bus last week?
Well, that's what they said, yeah. Well, rightly so. But then he also defended them big time and got thrown out of the game against Maryland last week or 2 weeks ago as well. But
no, he's an example, and what he's talking about is the problem. And there's no geographic tendencies or respects to conferences anymore. And this started really with Penn State joining the Big Ten in the late 80s, early 90s. And then the collapse of the old Southwestern Conference, which you and I grew up watching.
Yep.
And then, obviously Nebraska, Rutgers, Maryland joining the Big Ten. And obviously with the craziness we just talked about with the California teams and the Pac-12 collapsing because they got overly political in 2020.
But then you got, but then like Dan Hurley, played in the Maui Invitational is quite the honor. And then, they got waxed 3 times, or twice by the officials. But anyway, then they went on the big winning streak, and now they've come back down to earth a little bit. But when he says, hey, I'm never going to go play out there again, I mean, there are a lot of the West Coast teams. I don't think that's fair because there's a lot of teams. I mean, between the Maui Invitational and the Great Alaskan Shootout, 2 great tournaments. I know the time zones suck, but you know what? There's also a whole bunch of tournaments with neutral site at Madison Square Garden too, and it's not just during tournament time, not just during the regular. There's a bunch of tournaments at Madison Square Garden. People forget. It's like Duke's second home is Madison Square Garden. They play so many games, neutral site games, technically neutral, but they'll play Michigan State there. There's besides the little invitationals that go on early in pre-conference, before conference start, we see a lot of pre-conference tournaments. But then there's other stuff that goes on as well. Sometimes it's just like double headers at Madison Square Garden. People, you even forget. It's like, they're not playing at home today. They're playing at a neutral site. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. The West Coast teams have to come east for basketball. The East Coast teams have to go out there as well. I get it early on. But you think about, I say this all the time, Jay, you just think about the amount of money. Think about what Cronin just said. And that's a sport, for the most part, is generating a little bit of income. Is college basketball, nothing close to college football, as we all know. But just think about the millions, and it is millions of dollars in Division I that is wasted. Think about your varsity, boys and girls golf team. that are making the same trips to all these places. Think, and
I know.
think about every other sport you can think of is non-revenue generated. Maybe baseball in a couple of places like LSU, my Florida, some other places you might get away with it. Some that make some money. But every other sport loses tens of millions. People just want to always think about basketball and football when it comes to traveling. Think about every sport that you had in high school and more in some cases. And think about all those guys and girls teams, because so many people are heading out to a MAC track meet to see UCLA or to say Iowa take on Miami of Ohio. Do you know how much that costs to send? You got to set them on a plane, sometimes a bus trip, but you got to put them in a hotel for stuff that nobody sees. And I don't want any scholarships or anything like that taken away. But you know what I'm saying? Do you realize how many thousands of kids play in non-revenue generated sports are treated very well? So it just I think we have this binary way of thinking. It's just instead of 1-0-0-1, it's football, college football, college basketball. Every other sport. When Florida's swim team goes to play swimming at Stanford, great, a lot of Olympicness there, probably more. But you are losing. You're losing millions of dollars because it doesn't generate any revenue. No one's saying, "Yeah, I want the Gator swim team." I'll put my logo on their Speedos or something like that. It's just people don't. I don't think people really have a misconception that without college football, none of these other buildings for academic purposes get built. None of them. They don't. Which is why I say more football, the better. And they're the ones that bankroll the other sports. Otherwise, you wouldn't have them. You could not have a girls and boys track team, swim team, some cases softball and baseball, field hockey, even ice hockey. Ice hockey may be a little bit different in the Northeast and Hockey East in the Big Ten. But you couldn't have all these other sports without football. You couldn't. And if you don't have, this is why I bring up college football, and this is why I bring up UMass all the time. If they don't get their shit together, they're going to end up like what happened at Temple. They had to drop baseball, they had to do a lot of different things. If you don't have a functional Division I football program, you can bankrupt your entire athletic budget. And that's why I think UMass and some other teams somehow, some way better snap out of it, because you're going to cost other teams, other kids scholarships, because you're going to bankrupt your athletic department. Right, I'm off my
and that's why I think UMass joining the MAC is a good thing.
Well, certainly more money, absolutely is.
Yeah, and you and I watched. They have the MAC action games. They play on like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, and I love MAC action. Yeah. But will it help them recruiting wise? Who's recruiting? What are they paying? That's. And again, you're not going to pay $7 million like Cam Ward, but you got to pay. You got to get into the game, man. You got to be able to. These boosters, you got to come up with something. And that's one of the worst programs in the country.
There you go. It's
been that way for a while. Yeah.
It is nuts. It's nuts when you think about it. But no, the reality, and you bring this all up, and who I'm best buddies with, the athletic director here, Michigan, who just ran the playoff committee. These are realities of what to deal with. And then you have Title IX and federal laws. And, and the problem with the Title IX and any of this, I'm all for women's sports, and you are too, because UConn women and other teams and Caitlin Clark and everything else. But the reality, you can't have them be economically feasible because there's no women's comparison for football.
No, there isn't.
And you can have field hockey and ice hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, softball. Even baseball, softball is different because there's like under 20 girls on the softball team.
Yep.
Like 35 on the baseball team just because of the pitchers. So, I mean, I don't know how they do it. And, there's a reason why Ward has less hair than me. Yeah. So, I mean,
they all do it. The power conferences and even the non-power conferences, even the MAC, the Akrons of the world, the Kent States of the world, the other sports don't survive unless you have that football money coming in. Whether they're good teams or not, like you said, and it's the television money. And, Max, you're not going to get the same kind of money as you would in the other Power Fours, but you're getting a hell of a lot more than you would be as an independent. That's for damn sure. Hey, by the way, do you know what sport University of Miami does not have? They don't have a fucking girls softball team. Can you believe that?
I know that. I knew that because
That's
that goes back to
crazy.
when Donna Shalala was there.
Yeah,
When
I think that's going to change. I think that, but how in the hell can the University of Miami not have a softball team?
Oh, no, it's crazy. But here's the thing. I know about that because Michigan was going through the same thing at the same time, and we cut our men's gymnastics team.
Yep.
By the way, they've won the national championship since they brought them back like twice.
Mhm.
But that's when I was just talking about the Title IX stuff. And it's a lot of, like you just said, it makes no effing sense that Miami doesn't have a softball team. I mean, Florida State's awesome. Florida's awesome.
FGCU has a great football team down here.
Yes.
A great football team.
Yeah, and Clemson's awesome. So I mean, you got to start when you start.
Of course, Oklahoma, they won 80,000 games in a row until last year.
Oh, I know. And another one of my transfer girls, she went from Michigan there, Alex Rocco. So Rocco, she was a starting pitcher on the team that lost one game 2 years ago. So, it is what it is. But again, you got to have. I wish they could just make decisions here based on the sports and the kids instead of, hey, let's sign, let's sign the University of Alaska to the Big East. And not have considerations to travel and so forth. We're not the model that really works right now. Is got it together. Is probably college hockey, but that's a smaller amount of teams.
Yeah,
and the like the Hockey East is a good example, and because a lot of them are bus trips, and it's almost all of them.
They all
really.
are. In fact, they're all
Yeah.
hockey. There's all bus trips there. So. And they have 5 of the top 10, I believe, or 5 of the top 11 right now, Hockey East in the country. And of course, the Big Ten has their share. And out, that conference, CCH, Denver has always got a great team as well. So I love college. I love college hockey. I get my fact. Wait a second, wasn't the Beanpot start tonight or was the Beanpot last night? I can't remember.
The women's Beanpot I know is going on. I saw that.
Maybe that's what it was. And that's always great. There's Beanpot hockey. It's very much, it's like Michigan, Ohio State, only hockey is. And it's, Northeastern, Harvard, Boston College, and BU. And you never know.
Wait a minute. You said it's like the Michigan, Ohio State games?
Well,
so one of those teams has beaten the other 4 years in a row?
Well, yeah, they usually split out. I mean, the Beanpot, as you know, is only, a couple of games. I can't remember who's playing whom. But I know, and that's next Monday, I believe, where the men start.
It's in February, usually. It's in February.
BC plays BU, and it doesn't count towards the regular season.
Yep.
But then they usually, and there was a week off between the semifinals and then the championship game. But in between, they could still play. So I know, like, if BC, BU happen to be playing in the first round, I know this for a fact that they also play, like, on Wednesday, like 2 days later on Thursday for a regular big time matchup. So it's one of the best. It's one of the best events I've ever covered in my life. Beanpot hockey is just fabulous. BC, Harvard, BU.
Well, no, are you a Providence fan?
And huge Providence fan. Huge.
Obviously.
So when they won the national championship,
when Chris Terreri was there,
went to Pilgrim High School, and but I mean, and they lost that year to RPI in 1985. That was Adam Oates. Adam Oates' team at RPI, but when Providence won about 10 years ago against BU, that was the first national championship for the school and in any sport. They came close in cross country a couple of times and in soccer, but they made Final Fours in basketball. But that was something else.
Who was the small college that just won the soccer national championship? Who was it that was it a MAC team? Who was it? They won in overtime. It was a great goal too.
It was. Was it Kent State? It was. I remember playing the highlights.
Was it Kent State?
Was it Kent State? Like that? They won. Yeah, they won 2-1 because they don't do shootouts in college soccer, which I loved.
I'm looking it up right now.
And I hate shootouts to end games. I can't stand it. Yeah, look up NCAA soccer. I forget.
I'm looking it up right now.
While you're playing that, I want to play something that I think this is from last night. I hate when people do this, but Mike Greenberg goes on and says,
we should be ashamed of ourselves. Pete, it was Vermont.
Vermont, Jesus, of course.
Yes, it was Vermont.
Vermont, the Catamount.
Ashamed of ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Vermont ended up winning. Here's what Greeny said last night about this Ohio State team.
So look, I'm not here to debate whether or not LSU this season was the best college football team ever. because that is not a debate anyone can ever win. I'm actually not here to debate anything. I'm just here to say that LSU had the greatest season ever, and it isn't especially close.
Okay,
that's the 2019 team.
From 2019, that LSU. Which, by the way, before the season started, and at my old station, I looked into my crystal ball and I said, Ed Ogeron and this team winning the national championship. And I wasn't mocked by my fellow colleagues at the end, but there's like one said, Craig said, that's an interesting pick. And lo and behold, they went on to have a phenomenal team, phenomenal season. That was
pretty good passing game, Pete. Pretty good passing game.
Not bad at all.
You know, if people are from the planet Mongo, it was Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and the tight end was Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son.
That's
and
right.
Then Travis, the three named Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the running back.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then you also had Daryl Stingley.
7 NFL defensive starters.
Daryl Stingley Jr. or the third, grandson of great Daryl.
Grant Dolpit.
Yep.
Grant Dolpit was a safety. Patrick Queen. They had guys, they had players everywhere.
That's one of the greatest college
almost
football
as good
teams
as
of all
Michigan's team last year.
All right, last few minutes here. Let's get into the NFL a little bit. And let's talk about some of the coaching thing. You and I texted last night just for a second about the line going after Ben Johnson. Normally, I would be against something like this because, you bring in offensive coordinators that have tremendous talent around him like he did in Detroit. And you bring him into a situation where teams may not be as good on paper. But I think that this might work out. Now, I thought they'd go after Mike McCarthy first, but I think Ben Johnson could work out in Chicago only because of the talent that is there. And it is there on paper. It's just a question of, can he motivate Caleb Williams? They've got the offensive weapons there. So this one might work out. This one actually might work out for the Bears. But still surprised a little bit they didn't go after McCarthy a little bit harder. But Ben Johnson seems to be your guy.
I mean, by the way, they're paying him over $13 million a year, supposedly.
Here's a whole bunch of money. Can you?
The Bears found some money, Pete. What happened?
I don't know. McClaskey's,
the Bears found some. I mean, seriously, they've been saving all that money. They got it somewhere. No, it'd be interesting. Ben Johnson is really good at play caller and everything, but there's a million guys that have been play callers that have not worked out as head coaches. So we'll see. But, the Bears, they have a lot of talent, as you just said.
Yeah, they do.
They just streamlined Caleb Williams. I think the relationship with the quarterback and the play caller is, we talked about Joe Brady and Joe Burrow and now Josh Allen, Ryan Day and Will Howard, Harbaugh when he was here, and J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara. And obviously Tommy with Charlie Weiss, Josh McDaniels, and the one he had the best relationship with Bill O'Brien. So, and then Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
And, a really great example is Baker Mayfield with Dave Canales and Liam Cohen, which really saved his career. And more obvious, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, But I think it's I got to also mention Marv Levy and Jim Kelly with the K-Gun. That's another one.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important that they get that relationship squared away. It's hard when you're an offensive player and your coach is defensive. And listen, don't take your shots at Belichick. Belichick has forgot more about offensive football than most of you. Now, he's not really good at drafting offensive skill guys, but he knows
not wide receivers anyway, and certainly he can make a case for some other stuff. There's no question about that.
But in reality, I think this is a smart move for the Bears. And we talked about this. It hurts the Lions because they've lost Ben and they're going to lose Aaron Glenn. It might happen as early as today with the Jets. And they're bringing in an executive from the Lions too, the executive from the Lions to go with Aaron. So it's interesting to see what happens here. I think the Lions will be fine. This is the cost of success. I mean, Pete and I know about this. As Patriots fans, we lost Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel after the third Super Bowl in 4 years. We lost.
Yeah, then Charlie went to Notre Dame and did reasonably well.
Bill O'Brien.
Samardzija went to play for the Cubs. Yeah, and then There's the only time in my life I kind of wanted to root for Notre Dame because of Charlie at times, but that was difficult. But sticking with you about replacing. Let me play this cut real quick. There's Dan Campbell on talking about replacing his coordinators.
But I think we've got guys on staff that I think are more than qualified and would be outstanding in those roles. But that does not mean I'm not looking outside either. So I want what I believe is going to be as close to what we have been as possible. And we don't lose what we're about and our identity. And Wojo, like what you just asked, we're going to stay true to who we are. And if you're somebody that doesn't feel comfortable with that, then no, I don't. This isn't the job for you. So I'm not going to be in a hurry. I'm not in a mad dash. No matter what happens, I want to do what's right by our team. And what I believe is going to, those guys will be able to stand in front of that room and command respect and get everybody going in the same direction. And we'll ultimately deliver the same message that I'm delivering.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there.
I got some names for you.
Well, let me throw this one at you first, but now it's too late because he's with the Colts. Is Lou Anarumo, who got canned by the Bengals, and people forget last year the game plan he came up with the Chiefs though was pretty impressive.
Cheap, stupid team.
Yeah.
Cheap, second-rate Mickey Mouse effing team.
They don't even have a practice field. They will sooner rather than later.
He's one of the best defense coordinators in the NFL. And they stripped him of all his players. They did this facade where they were going to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They haven't paid either of them, by the way. And they're going to probably lose at least one of them, T. Higgins, this offseason.
Hopefully to the Patriots.
And then when that happens, Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to get out of there soon too. Watch.
No,
and they're going to be back to being the Bengals and being 3-14.
But there's a guy that could have gone to Detroit, but Indianapolis got to him first.
Well, I think part of this is Dan has Kelvin Sheppard on the staff. He's the linebackers coach, ex-NFL player. He's on the Bucs for a little bit.
Yep.
And Coach Williams, who's the D-line coach, and Mike Vrabel's also likes and is talking to.
So he'll promote.
Mike Vrabel's going after the Dolphins defensive coach. Vrabel had Williams with him in Tennessee, who's the D-line coach. So I think Dan wants to keep them. And then there's Tyler, I think's his name, Turner Engstrad's the passing game guy for the Lions now. And he has Mark Brunell and some other guys on the staff and Antoine Randall. The Lions won't lack people. And by the way, here's the other thing, Pete. Pete, keep this secret quiet, okay? It's important to understand it.
All right.
The Lions are good now. So they're getting calls from people who want to come work there. I know it's hard to understand this. That's how it works. It's like how the Patriots, when 5 years ago when the Patriots are good, they used to get calls from people who want to go work there. That's how you get Britt Bielema and Greg Schiano to be like interns on your staff.
But this is why
you're a good team. People want to go there. Nobody is calling the Jets to go work there right now. I mean, it's just
Tannenbaum is still leading the search, which is disastrous. But anyway, but the thing is, and you get these shows on ESPN and NFL Network, and I love people just the overreact. The Lions are done. All that kind of nonsense. You know how many times I heard that with the Patriots? Or how many times in 20 years did we hear about the Patriots? No, they're going to do cliff jumping and all that crap that some people used to. Look, the Lions are far from being done. They're going to be right back in the hunt next year, competing for a championship. I'm convinced of it. If you think they're going to fall off the face of the earth, people are crazy. It's a devastating. It's a devastating year the way it ended. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean they're going to go from what they did to an 8-win team. Some of these people have these theories. That's part one. Part two, why haven't the Patriots? Why hasn't Mike Vrabel gone after Lou Anarumo? I would have loved to have him as a DC. I wonder if they even talked to him.
No, I just said maybe. Well, do you really want me to say something you're not going to want to hear?
No, go ahead. No, why don't you say what you
makes you think Kraft would pay him? What makes you think Kraft would pay him?
Well, I don't know what he's getting with Indianapolis. I don't know what the salary is.
That's my point. He's not going to pay him because he's paying Vrabel a lot. Patriots won't pay a coordinator. They had to be forced to pay Vrabel.
Well, they're going to pay Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels comes, and I think he will. They're going to pay him.
Not
I think you don't think he's coming?
He's going to get another. They're going to get another offensive coordinator. They're going to hire Josh Order or hire him. They're going to get. I think there's going to get. There's a couple names out there that I've seen that are interesting. But no, it's. I think he likes West Coast systems, guys. Vrabel does. If you look at his history.
Yeah.
We'll see. But no, I mean,
guess what?
Until I see the Crafts cut a check, I won't believe it.
I'm still going with Josh McDaniels. I've got too many people telling me that that's going to be the. Not that I believe. I just think it's the most logical move. Bringing Vrabel was a logical move, and bringing Josh McDaniels.
I'm not a huge Josh guy, but
I know you're not. I am though. I am. I'm a huge.
He's never done a damn. He's very much like me. He's done nothing without Tom Brady in his life. So
he'll do something with Drake May. Hey, guess what just got here? Guess what just happened?
I mean, by the way, remember Vrabel just fired a bunch of guys. He just fired a bunch of guys. Vrabel did.
Yeah.
He didn't fire Alex Van Pelt.
Not yet. The day is young. He hasn't.
He's probably going over the tape.
Well, he hasn't fired Covington yet either, as far as I know.
That's actually a good point.
So, I mean,
almost like you do this all day. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, firing the offensive line coaches is easy. Anybody could do that. That should have been done back.
Well, just put on one game tape for 5 minutes. You'll understand that has to happen.
You're missing the great. Do you know what just arrived at my house?
Food.
No, close. Better, or just as good. A brand
coffee
new recliner. For me,
that's not as good as food.
Oh, it's close. This is
okay. You're talking with somebody. If you haven't noticed, I got a bad back. That's why I'm stretching and moving all the time. So it's. I might need a recliner. So there you go. So
I'm going to make this great frittata carbonara later on today. That is going to blow everybody's mind. That I saw made on the Food Network over the weekend, and it is simple and easy. And as soon as I get done with the show, I'm going to start doing it because it's a breakfast for dinner type of thing. Or dinner for breakfast that you can have, which I love, stuff like that. All right, so let's last few minutes here. So now it comes down to now we're starting to get the Mike McCarthy thing. There's no way, we agree, no way Jacksonville, absolutely no freaking way, right?
You're talking to Robert Saleh.
I know, but look at he's going to talk to everybody, but he's never going to.
By the way, Robert Saleh for the Patriots would make a lot of sense.
Robert Saleh's in D.C. Absolutely. I would
because you know why? Here's the other part. Kraft doesn't have to pay him.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's another good point.
You know who knows that? Robert and Jonathan.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see, Aaron, Glenn. I'd hate to see Glenn go to the Jets. But
who you do or you don't?
I don't, because I don't want him to be contaminated by that ridiculously horrific organization.
Yeah, I know, but
is that going to make Aaron Rodgers go back? I don't know if you're the Jets,
I don't think Aaron and Aaron would get along.
Do you want Aaron Rodgers back? Who would want Aaron Rodgers back after that debacle? Nobody.
Well, what's the cap situation with the money and everything?
Well, if he'll give up like $25 million of it. So if he decides to walk, that's something they don't have to pay. But the Jets are already they're in cap hell anyway. They don't have a lot of capital. They don't have a lot of picks. So do I think Aaron Rodgers? Do you think Aaron Rodgers? I know, but you think Aaron Rodgers? He's never going to be a backup. We know that. So do you think he will be a starter? And people think, will he ever be a starter again? Probably will be, more than likely, and it'll be wherever he goes will be disastrous at this point.
I might have an idea for where he could go.
We're going to say, let me guess, New Orleans, Seattle?
No, the Raiders.
The Raiders, that would be another try. Oh boy, I can't see if Tommy's got some say in that. No fucking way. No way. If Tommy's got as much, which by the way,
wait a minute, you just gave me a marketing idea. We have LFG, now we have NFW. Wait a minute. Pete, good job, buddy. NFW.
Bill says Beanpot is in February.
The NFW player of the game. He can do the NFW player. We got the LFG player of the game. Now we have the NFW player of the game.
Yep. No, Bill, you're right. The Beanpot's in February. The girls are before that. I was getting my.
We'll figure out. Maybe Aaron. Maybe Aaron can go to the Colts. There's a couple teams. There's only a couple
I don't think the Colts are straying away from Richardson. I think they can develop him. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Develop him to do what?
to play a little bit better than he did this year. He's got flashes.
That won't be very hard.
The problem is, it's basically his. He didn't get to play a lot of Florida. When he was with the Gators. I mean, he just didn't. So I'm giving him.
Maybe they should have thought of that before they drafted him.
Well, I agree completely. I thought it was ridiculous. But now that he's had a chance to somewhat, quote unquote, maybe develop, because this is more going to be more like his senior year this year with Indy. So I mean, we'll see. He's got the talent. It's just, can he be consistent?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, don't forget what's going to happen with Sam Darnold.
Well, that's the other question. I was asking my Minnesota neighbors about that are surrounding me. And I'm like, what would you rather see? Sam Darnold stay on. Sam Darnold be a backup between 10 and 15 million a year. Daniel Jones be signed as a backup for 10 or 15 million a year, or just go right to J.J. McCarthy, or trade J.J. McCarthy, sign Sam Darnold, and keep Daniel Jones as a backup. It's going to be
many options. So many options.
What do you think? If you were managing the Vikings, what would you do? Would you go back?
I'm going to do a 3-prong thing.
Okay.
J.J. McCarthy's my quarterback. Of course, he's right here. Yeah. So J.J. McCarthy's my quarterback. I signed Daniel Jones as my backup. And then I franchise tag Sam Darnold to trade him.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. They could go that way.
Almost like I've thought about this, Pete. No, that's what I would do. Sam Darnold, God, I have to say what I'm about to say. Sam Darnold has met his peak of what he is. And I hate to say this, Jared Goff, where you have to get what you can for him and, sell if you can at this point and sell him. And that's what you do. And another thing about the Lions, by the way, and this is an underrated part of what happened yesterday, and they lost a potential draft pick because of Ben Johnson leaving and going to a team with a quarterback. They can't do a Hendon Hooker trade. So they were talking if Tommy took him with the Raiders, they could do a Hendon Hooker trade for Max Crosby with other picks going the other way. So that's a thing that the Lions lost. It's kind of an underrated thing in what happened yesterday. But because go ahead. No, remember because I always like to bring this up with the Lions fans. The Lions are so sure Jared Goff was good, they drafted Hendon Hooker high.
Yeah.
I'm being very sarcastic.
No, I know. It's going to be really interesting to see what direction the Vikings do go in. I think the fan base, before the last 2 games, I think the fans were all gung-ho. Yeah, keep Sam Darnold. We'll trade J.J. McCarthy. We'll increase our stock and everything. Have you ever seen a guy, besides the Cleveland Browns, who still have to play Deshaun Watson, but have you ever seen a guy drop his stock so much in 2 weeks like Sam Darnold cost himself at least $60 million a year?
Without question.
Do it.
No, I thought he was going to get about 130. He might get 15 if he's lucky.
15 if he's lucky, exactly.
So listen, Watson is interesting because he supposedly was out of his walking boot when he hurt his leg. And they can get out of that deal now, Cleveland. That's one of the stories on the street, Pete.
I agree. Yeah.
So keep an eye on that.
Yep. Well, they're getting out of it anyway because there's no way it's the worst contract in the history of sports.
Yeah. And by the way, here's a good rule. Here's life lessons with Uncle Pete and Uncle Beaves for everybody. Let's go over this. If you are a sex offender with 40 different people, you might not be a good investment. We're going to go on a limb. I know that's when you have 40 charges from masseuse. Allegedly is very important. Again, Uncle Pete and Uncle Beef trying to avoid being sued. But we are talking.
That in itself sounds a little creepy.
I know, but
want some candy?
By the way, and Pete and I can speak from experience. If you can get 40 women to agree on something, you're in trouble. So that's what that's the reality of life. I mean, and that's what the Browns invested in, and they basically tanked their team. And here's the other sad reality. They wasted Nick Chubb. He's now hurt again. Myles Jarrett wants probably out. they're a mess. They
But
really are.
they're going to probably draft. I mean, it looks like Cam Ward's going to Tennessee, but it looks unless Deion has some say, Shedeur Sanders, unless it goes to Shedeur Sanders is going to get drafted by the Browns. And
wow,
and then what happened? Now that's the type of situation that you go to. I don't care how talented you are, you can get wrecked. In that situation. Yeah, I don't know if Deion.
They almost wrecked Baker Mayfield.
I don't know if Deion approves of the Browns. If indeed he cannot manipulate the Dallas thing, if that should happen, but that's kind of died down, hasn't it?
Yeah, like the Eli Manning, John Elway thing.
Yeah.
No. Here's the other thing. Here's the other. I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
That's all right.
No. Here's the thing, Pete. Big thing as far as New England goes, and this is important. The Patriots, I know we make fun of them for winning the last game and screwing their draft pick. They don't need a quarterback, so they're going to be at 4, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get to pick probably between Abdul Carter and Mason Graham. And I would not draft Travis Hunter that high. They're going to get Abdul Carter or Mason Graham. They need either guy. So whichever guy is there at 4, it would be great for the Patriots because they could use, like I said, they need defensive help. And I think they're going to address O-line and other things and the free agency if Kraft spends. And that's where they'll get a lot done. But they should be in a position at 4 to take the best player available who's in a quarterback. And there isn't a guy who's going to be a quarterback at 4 who's worth it unless Shedeur drops because Prime works something out. Or Cam Ward drops, whoever the quarterback is. So it's interesting to see. But no, the Patriots are in a pretty good position. I mean, whichever you prefer, Mason Graham or
draft. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we'll see. But they're going to be in a good position. And they're going to have to overpay because of the weather and the athletes tax and the other things going on there. So we'll see.
All right, couple things right before I let you go, and thanks so much, Jay, for taking a few minutes today. More than a few.
There you go.
More than a few minutes.
My Red Bull's almost gone, Pete.
Obviously, Darren Orlovsky and the people on Get Up have listened to me the last couple of days because I kept saying over and over again, do not play man coverage on this team. I'm eating Notre Dame on Ohio State.
How about don't play man coverage with cover 0?
With cover 0 especially.
Stupid.
So they're breaking down to play the Jeremiah Smith catch from Will Howard.
If they get a stop on 3rd and 11, they're going to get the ball back in a 1-possession game with a chance to go down there and try and tie it. What did you see on the play?
I'm shocked that they singled up Jeremiah Smith. We were texting with Ryan Clark, whose son Jordan Clark is playing in the game. 10 seconds before the play, we all text out, it's going to number 4. So, let's say in a group chat, and the fact that Notre Dame decided to go all-out pressure and just play one-on-one, I was absolutely floored by. Great call by Ohio State. Watch Travion Henderson, the back, meet the linebacker. You got one-on-one coverage. Jeremiah seams inside to allow that corner to get even more inside. He creates so much space to the sideline. It's a great throw. I think it's one of the all-time great calls, one of the all-time clutch throw and catches for Ohio State because Will Howard to Jeremiah Smith with the game, with the storyline, with the narrative on the line. It was huge.
Yeah, it was. There's a 3rd and 11, and I don't understand it. I really don't. How Freeman lets that happen. And
did they show what the numbers were in the game when Notre Dame played zone and so forth?
No, I didn't see them, but look.
But I mean, just eyeball test.
They're down 31-7. So whatever the adjustments, whatever they were doing, it didn't matter, zone or man, for the most part. That it didn't matter because Ohio State was shredding them for most of the game. After first.
And by the way, the real number 1 corner on Notre Dame's been out for about the last 2 months. Morrison.
Yeah, I brought him up.
He's going to be a high draft pick. Yeah,
no question.
Like Will Johnson here.
He got hurt in the previous game in the second half. I mentioned that yesterday.
He'd been hurt and trying to play, and then he got hurt worse.
Finally, top 15 favorites betting-wise next year for the 2026 college football playoff odds to win it all. Texas comes in at number 1 at plus 450. Now, this means if you bet 100, you win $450. Ohio State is second at plus 500. Georgia's third at plus 600. Oregon at plus 750. Penn State also at plus 750. Alabama plus 1,300. Notre Dame plus 1,500. Tennessee plus 1,600. LSU plus 1,800. Clemson plus 2,000. Mississippi plus 2,200. The U. Miami plus 3,000. Texas A&M plus 3,000. Michigan plus 4,000. South Carolina plus 4,000. I'm not just saying it because you're here. You want value? Put $100 or even $10. Put it on Michigan or Miami.
Clemson.
Plus 4,000 plus 3,000. That is a good bang for your buck.
I know. I like Clemson because I think Klubnik's going to have a really big year. And your point about Miami and Michigan are good bets too.
Yeah, there's good value there.
I'll say this.
Mississippi too.
Yeah, I'll say this. Because of the Big Ten breakthroughs, maybe it might be Phil Goal Franklin's year. Now, based on how he coaches in games, no. But the they have the backfield is back. Now they lost Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, but they should be fine at those positions. But again, maybe they fire Phil Goal Franklin and bring in a cut up of somebody to coach the game. So it would be an upgrade over Phil Goal.
They're not firing him because
I know, but I mean he's horrible. But yeah, it's funny. So many of these high level teams have dopes as head coaches, but he's not good. But we'll see. But I'm excited to see Penn State. So figure out a couple games a year, the field goal is going to lose because he does it every year. So see, every team when they go to play Penn State says keep the game close until the end, and the field goal will screw it up, and he does. So it's like I know you're getting a big kick out of it, but that's my Harbaugh calling Ryan Day born on third base. Mine is field goal Franklin. So because everybody when I say field goal, everybody knows who that is. So it's funny.
The hate is flowing through you, my young.
Well, no, he's entertaining and he helps me win. So, and listen, give Day credit. They won and they had a great year and they responded to the humiliation in November that we gave them. But it is what they did.
In closing,
I'm excited to announce that Ohio State achieved one of their 3 stated goals every year. Their first 2 are beat Michigan, failed. Win the Big Ten, failed. They won the Natty. Hey, cool. And they get their gold pants. So wait a minute, they don't. So there you go. Pete, we got to close it out, buddy. I got things to do and money to make. Let's go.
Congratulations to Ryan Day at Ohio State. Thanks, Jay, so much. Get out of here, and we'll absolutely talk soon.
Hope you feel better, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Yeah, you got the show tomorrow here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thank you, everybody. We're going to end it here tomorrow. Full show from 7 to 10, I promise. Lots of great guests coming up. Bill Spiros, Mia O'Brien, too, and maybe somebody else as well. All right, thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the Coastal Sports Network. Make sure you go to SR1029 The Game, SR1029thegame.com right there. Check out all the shows. You can go back and listen to these shows and other shows as well. I recommend it highly. Have a great and safe rest of your Tuesday, everybody. I'm going to check out my new recliner. See ya. Back tomorrow at 7. Bye.